I want to start with you. If you weaken ISIS, you strengthen al-Qaeda. How does that work?
Because the two of them are competitor organizations. ISIS was kicked out of al-Qaeda at the beginning of February, and since then it has pretty aggressively made bids to get affiliates of al-Qaeda and others within the organization to join it. In fact, some analysts believe that it has surpassed al-Qaeda as the leader of global jihad, although I'm very suspicious of those claims. But by targeting ISIS, it creates an incentive for people to go back to al-Qaeda. That's because moving forward, the U.S. is probably going to pretty narrowly target ISIS. Leaving ISIS puts people on firmer footing, particularly when ISIS's leadership is degraded, which the U.S. strikes will certainly do.
Okay, so Paul, what does that mean? We shouldn't be hitting ISIS because goodness knows we don't want to strengthen al-Qaeda?
Well, the United States is hitting both ISIS and al-Qaeda, the Khorasan group, Jabhat al-Nusra in Syria. So in a sense, it's weakening both. I think the greater danger is because of these strikes against both groups, that the groups could find some sort of common cause, or they could at least stop fighting each other in Syria. That's a very worrying prospect if they could kind of pool resources at some point in the future. We've seen other al-Qaeda affiliates in the region, in North Africa and Yemen, call for al-Qaeda and ISIS to patch up their differences and to focus on hitting the United States.
Hey, Paul, so we have been discussing exactly, how strong is ISIS? Is their strength real? Has the media been overplaying that? Let's talk to us about Khorasan. How strong is Khorasan?
This is a pretty small group, Don, maybe a dozen or more, a few dozen fighters, but this is al-Qaeda's A-team. These are veteran al-Qaeda operatives who've been in the game for more than a decade, have a lot of expertise, experience, all sorts of contacts, and they're trying to recruit Westerners in Syria, Western militants there for plots back in the West. And it doesn't take a very large amount of these militants to put together sophisticated plots in the West. We saw with 9/11 that was just 19 hijackers. We've seen other plots since with fewer amounts of plotters. And al-Qaeda in Yemen had a pretty small external operations division, just a few dozen people at most. And they were able to put together several plots against U.S. aviation, Don.